Hello and welcome to this episode of Between the Studs. I'm your host Mark. Today I'm joined by the two venerable owners of Atlanta Brick Co. We've got Chris and Ed. How you guys doing today?
Doing good, thanks, Mark.
I haven't had my coffee yet. I'm working on it.
Okay, get some coffee down. It is a little bit early. Normally we film in the afternoons, but morning is better for our busy schedules of these two corporate magnates here. So,
corporate magnates.
Nice, Mark.
So, the subject of today's video is something that we've kind of left on the back burner for a little while, but I'm excited to bring it back out. It is our Star Wars series. And we've finally gotten to the original Star Wars movie. It was originally titled Star Wars, and it was retitled Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, later when George Lucas made the prequels and all that good stuff. But we're talking about A New Hope, when Luke Skywalker figured out what the Force was and the grand story of the Skywalkers began. So, this was really the introduction of Star Wars to the world. It was a massive success. The movie made a lot of money. The toys, everything went crazy. And so in one movie, in 1 year, everything changed for sci-fi and entertainment for forever. But for us here talking about it, what was your introduction to the Star Wars universe? When did it become meaningful for you guys? You want to start, Chris?
Yeah, sure. So I had two older brothers. Mm-hmm. We were all a couple years apart. So I was almost too young at the time to really. I was alive for episode 5 and 6.
Yes, the sequels to this one.
And I was going to the theaters and seeing those. I was getting the toys on the shelves.
Mm-hmm.
But I had access to the original New Hope merchandise because of my two older brothers.
Mm-hmm.
And being three boys, I mean, we just had everything.
But you couldn't see the movie, Chris, because it wasn't out on VHS until many years later.
Yeah.
Unless you were lucky enough to get a bootleg.
Yeah, yep. Mm-hmm. So, but you Star Wars was a big part of your life from the get-go.
Oh,
right,
yeah,
Chris?
yeah. We had, I grew up on a farm, so we did a lot of shooting and playing outside in the sandbox.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember taking our Millennium Falcon when we had kind of outgrown the play factor of it,
Mm-hmm.
where we're playing with action figures with it. So we took it outside and we shot it up with our BB guns.
Yep.
And that happened to a lot of our older toys. But being a toy collector, my brother and I now own every single original Star Wars action figure and all the vehicles in their original boxes.
Yeah.
Not sealed, but we do have the original boxes for the vehicles.
That's amazing. So you've made up for the fact that you were
we
destructive
did,
back then. Yeah, that's good.
Totally.
So Ed, you were the only one of us actually alive when Star Wars came out. Was that actually something for you as a kid when that first movie released?
It was absolutely amazing. It was in the spring or summer,
Mm-hmm.
I think, when it came out. So I wasn't quite 9 yet. I was 8 years old.
Perfect demographic, right?
And and went to the movie, and I was like, whoa, look at all this. This is amazing. This dude all in black with this armor, he's got this breathing machine and this big red sword, and this old guy with a blue sword, and this Han Solo dude, and I didn't really pay much attention to their names. I was just like enthralled in the whole storyline and what was going on.
The world,
the
the
aluminum
universe.
Falcon, and this furry guy, and like, wow, and it's so cool. And I had to see it again and again and again and again and again and again, as often as possible. And like I was saying earlier, the merchandising really was kind of slow rolling out. The movie, nobody knew. Even George Lucas didn't know that the movie was going to do well.
Yeah.
So they did a mail order thing where you can get 4 figures. And this was in the fall, just before Christmas time. And the 4 figures were Leia, R2-D2, Chewbacca, and I believe it was Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And you have to order for them, and they come in the mail, and that was the coolest thing. And they used a podunk, nobody knows the name of, company called Kenner to produce these figures. Nobody else would do it.
Yeah.
They're like, man, we're gonna lose money on this. Well, it just launched Kenner into a whole nother world. And the year after that, they started coming out with more figures, like 12 or 13 of them, and then they kept going with that.
Yeah, obviously a huge success in that.
I had to have every single one of them. Sears catalog. We get the catalog. I don't know what kids do now, but back in those days, we had a catalog.
Mm-hmm.
We looked through the catalog, and you look at the toys and went right to the Star Wars section. Like, oh, what do I want? What do I want? And they had special items in the Sears catalog that you couldn't get at Kmart.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't have Walmart in those days. They had
Brand
Kmart.
specific stuff, yeah.
Right. So like the blue Snaggletooth figure, that we have a custom one of over there in the Lego. You could only get him through Sears, and yeah, it was awesome, man. I absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. My sister, she was about your age, I think. Maybe she was a baby when the movie came out, and we were able to get a VHS tape because I knew a guy. My father knew a guy.
Yep.
And my little sister, she was about 2 years old, maybe 1.5, just learning how to talk. She loved the movie too.
Mm-hmm.
And we wore the tape out, playing it so much. One of her first words were, "Buta buta solo," from the kids.
That's a pretty funny first word
If she
to say.
was here, she'd be beat red right now. And she would quote the whole line. I'd be like, whoa. How many more times do you want to watch this thing, It was funny. It was hilarious. But,
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was a hit. We loved it.
So were you a mint condition action figure guy, or did you beat the?
I
beat the
had
crap out
the
of them?
foreknowledge that these figures were going to be collectible. I'm like, Mom, we got to go to the store and get some more figures. She's like, why? Don't you have enough stormtroopers? Like, they're going to be collectibles, Mom. These things are going to be worth a lot of money. I did not have enough foresight to know that you shouldn't take them out of the packages.
Yeah, it didn't even occur to
Now,
you. Yeah.
if you gave me a time machine and I went back to 1978, 79, I said, Ed, you can't take these out of the package. You got to keep them in. I'd be like, are you kidding me? Are you stupid or something? How am I going to play with them if I keep them in the package? Get out of here. Leave me alone. So I just, you take them out of the package. Who wants the package? You want the figure. So they got used.
Yeah.
And I still have some, right? You've seen them. They're
Yeah,
the little
oh, yeah.
containers. In pretty good shape, but man, if I'd have kept them in the package, they'd be what, 30 grand right now?
Yeah,
20 grand?
insane
Yeah.
collectability.
No, we were like Napoleon Dynamite when he ties a string to that action figure and throws
See,
it
I
out the
wouldn't
school
do that.
bus window and drags it along the back of the bus. Our action figures got played with.
I was
and
mortified when Luke
destroyed.
Skywalker's head came off, and I was like, "Oh no, I need to get another Luke Skywalker." And he wasn't my most favorite guy, but I had to have him.
Yeah, he's one of the characters.
Part of the characters.
Well, lesson learned on preserving collectible merchandise down the
Take
road.
them out of the package, kids.
They're not toys.
Yeah.
These aren't toys, these are collectibles,
Yeah,
guys.
exactly.
Well, actually, most of the sets here on this table are somewhat collectible because Lego and Star Wars made their partnership starting from 1999, which is when the prequels came out. However, they did have some sets for the original trilogy, especially The New Hope, which is what we're talking about today. And one of them, I think here, this one would have been 1999? Yes. This is a first edition Star Wars set, and it has that land speeder from The New Hope.
Yeah, I got a question, Mark.
Yes.
Who decided what the minifigure of the week was going to be?
Yeah, that I have no idea. I think it just was a
I was
conversation.
like, what?
It was Jar Jar's turn.
Yeah, exactly.
Bugs Bunny on crack gets a minifigure, and it becomes minifigure of the week at Atlanta Brick Co.
Yeah, so we do the little reels, the shorts, where we have the minifigure of the week, and it's a minifigure, and he's showcased on a turntable.
Spinning around, we talk
and
about
it makes
him.
him look real special, and Ed puts the. Did you see Ed put the puke emoji on?
I didn't. You're
I
commenting
was
on our own
watching
social
this
media.
like, what is going on, man?
Yeah.
Why?
A lot of people liked Jar Jar, though. You know, that's the thing.
If you grew up as a young person watching the episode 1,
Mm-hmm.
he grew on you. He just became, oh, look at that. That's so cool.
He's so funny, yeah.
But if you're one of us, the old school, the OGs,
They grew up with this
yeah,
stuff.
and you're watching it, you're going, what in the world is that?
Yeah.
What just happened?
There's less nostalgia for you there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Moving on.
But I think most Star Wars fans have at least some nostalgia for the stuff we're talking about here. I particularly like this X-Wing here with the original box certified. This one's really cool. And is there a particular vehicle or moment from the first movie that you can remember that was really meaningful to you, like the X-Wing or the Y-Wing or the dewback, something that speaks to you guys?
Yeah, all of them.
All of them? Yeah. You like them all?
I mean, literally, when the Tantive, right at the opening scene, when the Tantive's getting pulled in by the Star Destroyer.
If you notice, every Star Wars film, there's a ship flying. The first scene is a ship flying in space, making noise.
Yeah. Sound effects.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, wow, there's noise in space. It was on Star Wars. There's noise in space, guys. Don't tell me anything different.
Yeah, it's not silent out there. There's all these lasers and
For
stuff.
me, the best part will always be Mos Eisley, Cantina.
Yeah.
In the first original film, where Greedo does not shoot first,
He gets
Han
shot
Solo
first.
shot
yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Han Solo had a gun pointed at him. He had every right to defend himself. Isn't that
Well,
right, Chris?
he knew. Greedo said that. What'd you call him, Guido?
Greedo.
From this scene,
I could have
right?
sworn you
Guido?
just said Guido.
Did I say Guido?
I thought you
That's
did,
another
yeah.
guy.
That's another guy.
That's a whole other story.
But this scene here, right? Yeah, look, they're shooting.
He says he's gonna kill him and shoot him.
Yeah.
So he
I'm gonna
was
take you the
given
job.
warning, and Han Solo timed it perfectly so that he almost like got the split-second drop on him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, and that's something about A New Hope that's maybe a little controversial. Is George Lucas did a lot of little edits for the version that we can watch now on
Yeah.
Disney Plus. It's kind of an edited version. You have new scenes added here and there, some updated CGI, which is actually kind of aged a little bit now since those edits. But yeah, that's one of the things that changed is how Han Solo. In the script of the original, he did shoot first, and it makes sense for his character. He's trying to survive. This guy's a bounty hunter trying to kill him.
George Lucas opened up his own special effects studio on his property, and they wanted to showcase all the new stuff they were doing. So they redid episodes 4, 5, and 6, and added some things in there. You can no longer find the original uncut episodes 4, 5, and 6 anymore.
Maybe on YouTube, a few clips. But
What I think they should have done was added in the scenes that were cut. There was a part with Biggs Darklighter with Luke, and they were looking at the sky going, what the heck's going on up there? Looks like an Imperial... that's when they were capturing the Tantive 4. And they were looking up. That's cut out. The
That'd be a
part
nice
where
inclusion.
Jabba meets Han Solo, they did put that in the bunker where he goes, why did you fry poor Greedo? And then they showed Jabba's... Boba Fett in that scene. Jabba did not look like that.
They changed him up.
They changed him. If you watch the, if you
Find pictures of, yeah.
the privilege of getting the comic books that came out, they had those scenes in there, and Jabba was completely different. He had legs.
Yeah.
So
I'm happy with the way they did Jabba. He's fine.
So
More slug-like.
Mark's holding the Mos Eisley Cantina set here, the small one, and Greedo's ship is in it. I don't remember seeing that in the movie, was it?
It was in one
It was in the
shot.
background.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was kind of on the side.
I didn't know it was Greedo's ship, but I bet that went for sale pretty fast.
It's a cool ship.
The Jawas cleaned it up pretty quick, I'm sure.
I'm sure they got a hold of it.
It's like a pod. I can't imagine that flying in outer space. I wonder if that was part of a bigger ship.
If
or
it lands on,
something.
yeah.
And what used to frustrate me with Legos, they made a lot of Cantina sets, a lot of sets with Jabba in it, Jabba's palace, blah, blah, blah. They never put any other aliens in the scene. It's always Greedo and Han.
Yep.
Whatever happened to the other guys that are in that cantina that you see for a split second?
Well, with this one, so that's 2018. They did put the bartender, Woo-her,
Finally.
or whatever.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, his name's not even in the movie. I
Talks
don't
to the
think.
droids.
Yeah.
We don't want your kind in here.
The droid racist
Poor
bartender.
droids,
Yeah.
man. The droids just get beat up.
Absolutely. Well, to your point, Ed, in the latest large UCS-style Cantina set,
Yes.
there are a lot of cool
They
figures.
finally...
I'm really sad we don't have it on hand here in the store like the rest of these sets.
Oh, did we sell it?
It is unfortunately sold just
Sells
before filming this,
very
but
quickly.
it is a super cool set. So you can get most of those figures. Not all of them, but most of
I
them.
guess better late than never, right? I mean,
Exactly.
it took them 23 years
Exactly.
to finally say, oh, okay, well, let's put these figures in there.
Mm-hmm. They
You
finally
know-
figured it out.
You know what's interesting about these early sets, the 1999 and 2000 ones that came out, like this XWing, is people call us to sell us their Lego all the time, right? And they're like, I have the original Lego Star Wars sets. And I'm like, oh, wow, from 1999, yeah, because I just like to show off my knowledge, Oh, yeah, 1999, yeah. And they're like, oh, no. These are the original Lego Star
I
Wars
remember
sets
it.
from
I
when the
remember
movies
it.
came out.
Right.
And I'm like, wow, from 1977? Yes. And I'm like, oh, my goodness.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like, I've had that happen at least a dozen times. Like, everybody thinks that like these are from
Yeah,
1977.
Isn't there a blue
It
box
kind of looks
version,
like
Chris?
it could be, you know?
Yeah.
That's the black box. There's also a blue box version of the same thing.
I think so. I think later down the road it got a blue box.
No, not in 1999. That was like 2000. That was 2004.
2 or 3, yeah.
2003.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because that was more of that era of box style. But I do like these classic old boxes with the star pattern. Super cool. But yeah.
And the sets themselves are so blocky. It's just so classic.
Yes.
And the yellow heads.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the non-flesh
A
tones.
lot of studs.
Yeah.
It's just great.
Nougat, Mark. Nougat tones.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And there's Biggs right here in this original X-wing.
There he is.
Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, we only have 2 of the original. I don't think there were any other New Hope version sets from the first wave. However, in the next few years, you see a lot of sets from that. But these were very cool. In sealed, they're pretty expensive. Like this little land speeder is $110 on our website. But it's sealed, and it's minty fresh. Looks like it's brand new off the shelves back then. But the certified, they're not too bad. They're actually still somewhat accessible. So.
Yeah, so the X-Wing here in its original box is certified pre-owned for $220. Brand new sealed.
Probably double that, yeah.
I think triple possibly, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know off the top of my head, but I know they don't last long.
Exactly.
You got the old colors in here, the old gray, light gray, and then printed parts. They weren't putting stickers on these, so, which is always nice.
Yeah, and then with New Hope, there's a lot of world building. There's a lot of little scenes of them moving to and fro in spaceships or using the buttons on the Death Star. They're kind of paying attention to everything you would do in a Star Wars universe. But one scene, it's a pretty long sequence, that is absolutely riveting and a lot more fast-paced is the trench run. And so that's where I think a lot of people were absolutely hooked when Luke Skywalker's trying to get those bombs down that vent shaft to blow up the Death Star. And you got a couple good instances where you can see stuff like this. This isn't my favorite Star Wars set. I've gone on record saying this isn't the best of the latest ones, but it really does capture that trench run pretty effectively, I think. Did you guys, as being a little bit younger, enjoy that trench run scene? Did that get you guys kind of riveted?
Oh, yeah, it was cool.
I remember a lot of the video games, the Star Wars video games, were based off that trench run. You know, you're flying an X-wing, and the flying games were not my favorite video games, but I mean it was Star Wars, so you played it.
Exactly. Yeah. And here's the Vader's TIE Advanced. I think this is technically a UCS as well, so. It's a really nice set. It doesn't have the original box, but it does. Yeah, it's got the plaque there.
Oh, and that plaque looks nice for being a sticker. That cockpit is what you're looking for. That's over $100 for that.
Just that piece.
Windscreen alone. Yeah.
That's amazing. Yeah, I think Darth Vader definitely, even in a brief appearances in the first movie, you really captured the imagination and the terror that this character would later be known for. So it's like he has a very cool ship. He's able to force choke people in important business meetings.
Yeah.
Great character introduction.
If only I had that power.
Yeah,
the cool thing, too, was as a kid, you're watching that movie, you want to know more.
Yeah.
And little things would come out and became so
little
popular.
Yeah.
They did a Christmas special that I was a kid and I didn't care. I'm watching it, but some parts of that Christmas special, when I look back at it, I'm like, what the heck? What were they doing?
What were they thinking?
Oh, George Lucas, I heard, was so upset with it, you never saw it again. But there was a really cool little teaser in there where they had a cartoon with Boba Fett in there. And he was like an offshoot of Clone Wars. And like, what's this Clone War thing? We didn't see anything about Clone Wars until 10, 20 years later.
Yeah, the prequels came out, yeah.
It's like, man, we were dying for that stuff. And the storylines and the information would not get out back in those days like it would today.
You had to just guess because there wasn't internet to talk about it.
We subscribed to the Marvel. Marvel had the Star Wars comics, so you got to learn a lot about the whole universe.
What happened to your Star Wars comics?
They're gone. I think I sold them all. When eBay came around, I started selling a lot of my collectibles on eBay. I made good money off that stuff.
Yeah.
But there was an issue, 11 I think it was, shortly after the Star Wars ones, 1, 2, 3, 4 were released, 4 comics of the movie. Then they came out with other storylines afterwards. And there was one where Han Solo gets involved with these mercenary guys, and one of them was a green Bugs Bunny.
Yep.
I am not kidding.
Green rabbit guy.
That would be cool if we ever did a custom figure of that.
Yep.
I thought it was Jar Jar. I thought it was an offshoot of like, maybe they took that bunny and made it into Jar Jar, you know, and just changed him around.
Maybe
a
so.
little bit.
I know that some of our hardcore Star Wars fans and friends have told us about those characters, or even made custom characters where they printed that Nesquik bunny head to make those characters. That's pretty crazy. So
it does look a lot like the Nesquik bunny head, although I would not ever ruin a Nesquik bunny figure.
Yeah, I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
So let's see. Talking about the sets here, I think that most of these are fantastic, but one thing that I think they've repeated maybe just a little too often, and I know why they're doing it, but I want to get you guys' thoughts on this too. They've made a lot of land speeders. Pretty much every couple of years they'll have a new version of the land speeder, and it's slightly different than the last, maybe a little bit less in some cases, like it's just a couple of years later it's about the same. But for me that's a little bit annoying, but at the same time everybody wants to have a land speeder. So what do you guys think about that? Is it too many land speeders? Is it the right amount? Because they should keep remaking them for more people to access them. What do you guys think?
So this is like a battle pack.
Yeah.
And we all know that LEGO can't sell individual Star Wars figures because it competes with the action figures.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a way to get 4 great figures out and have a small set. What other small vehicles could you throw in a battle pack?
Exactly.
I mean, look at the other battle packs that you get. They come with basically throwaway vehicles.
Mm-hmm.
They're terrible.
They go in the bulk bin very quickly, right? Yeah.
Whereas for being a battle pack, that's actually a scale decent vehicle.
Yeah.
So I love the land speeders.
You like the land speeders?
Yeah, it's easy to
And
make.
they do always change up the color. They don't put the same exact one in every set.
Yeah, the original has that tan color because that's one of the few shades besides red, blue, gray. But then later you get some more subtle dark red and the nougat and other things going on there.
And to add to the battle pack deal with the figures versus the, like, Hasbro was the big company that began making Star Wars figures. Lego was selling figures individually. Hasbro put a stop to it because they did not want
That competition,
They said, you guys are selling figures, and we have an exclusive license to make figures for Lucasfilms and Star Wars. And Lego's like, no, these are buildable toys. What do you call those? Minifigures. Figure. It's a figure. So Lego had to stop selling figures separately, like in those little magnets. They stopped doing that, and they began you had to have it in a buildable set, like Chris was saying. But I don't know, now that Disney owns the rights to everything, I don't know if those contracts still hold. So I'm really hoping that maybe one day we'll get a CMF line of Star Wars figures. I think
That'd be
great.
so cool.
Does anybody really want that, though?
Yes.
I think there's plenty of Star Wars fans who would, Chris.
If they're all different, like if you cannot get them in a set, and these are just exclusive to the CMF line, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
They could come up with a CMF line for every single Lego theme that ever existed and
Clone
keep
Troopers.
doing it, and they would sell ridiculously.
CMF
but it
Cantina
also might crash the market on Lego in general.
Yeah, it might cause some unintended consequences,
like
right?
Beanie Babies.
Yeah, exactly.
And baseball cards and comic books.
It all depends on how it's done. Like if they make just exclusive ones just to the CMF line,
Specialty
it
figures.
just gives you more to collect.
And knowing Lego, that's what they'll do. They always change things up.
They're pretty careful.
Yeah. I mean, look at these figures that are coming in here. There's nothing like these original figures coming out these days. You know?
They don't circle back that often.
Even this
Aunt Baru.
Maru Baru. Who wants her? I mean, she's a character.
That's why they put a VIP giveaway.
I'd rather get a somebody else, like an alien in the cantina. But I mean, this is so cool.
It's a great little scene.
This is awesome. Yeah.
It's something we haven't seen in Lego before, so
They should have put Uncle Owen in there too.
I think it would have been nice.
Uncle Owen in there would have been good.
You got the blue milk in there. It's the Lars Family Homestead kitchen.
Yeah.
Like, this is something no one wants. No one asked for. Okay, no one wants is wrong. No one asked for it. Everybody wants it.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
There you
great.
go.
They didn't know they needed it,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah, this is one of those sets that.
Well, I mean, if you're a
You gotta
collector,
have.
you have to have it. If you're going to collect Star Wars, it's like that's one of the things you want to get because you could not go to the store to get that. You can't go to Walmart and get
that was a gift with
it.
purchase.
It's a gift with purchase.
Yeah. That's Lego being careful about the specialty stuff that they make for Star Wars, so it's pretty cool.
And that's the only way to get Aunt Baru.
But you can buy her from us exclusively just the figure.
Correct.
If you
Yes.
want.
Yeah.
on atlbrick.com.
That's the only other way. Yeah.
So one thing
plug.
that I like about the original movie, and this is like they're introducing so much. Like you had the Castle Run was mentioned, you had the Clone Wars,
Right.
but one thing that I like that it was introduced as a little minor antagonist was the Sand People. And we got a lot those very much expanded later in the Disney Plus shows. But
The Book of Boba Fett.
like when Luke's going out, it's like, oh, it's too dark. There's Sand People. That's like Wild West kind of scary. There's there's enemies out there. They're gonna get you. So you got a couple Sand People appearing in different sets. The original versions, I think, were Clone Wars sets that had the round head with a print. But this one they have more three-dimensional heads that they've made later on, and this is actually a great set. Obi-Wan's hut.
I love what they did in Book of Boba Fett. I did not like what they did in Revenge of the Sith, or was it the Clone Wars?
Yeah,
I killed them all.
Yeah, they murdered a whole village of them.
Children. Oh, please.
Yeah, it's it was a little dramatic for
Yeah.
Anakin to go crazy on the same people.
I hate them. Oh, do you? Okay, you hate them. All right.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's canon or not, but originally there was a Jedi Tusken Raider.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think he was in a comic book.
Maybe Legends or some kind.
Darth. Oh man.
No, it was a Jedi.
He
was a good guy.
became a bad dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Was it Darth Mammon? No.
No, it's not
It's
him.
somebody else.
Darth Tusken.
Darth Tusken. Yeah, that's it.
No, but it was cool. The
Yeah.
storyline was great, and I wish they would have done that. Was with during the time of Cade Skywalker. That line.
So it's
he was
extended
the
universe.
main-
Yeah.
The main Jedi dude. He was the main evil Sith dude.
Oh yeah.
And
okay.
it was awesome. Just the backstory and all that stuff. Darth Talon was the Twi'lek. That was the. They should do a live action.
That would be a good movie.
Just the whole that whole storyline was really well written. I
Yeah.
liked it, and it's a shame that.
I'd like to see a Star Wars horror movie.
Mm.
You know, they've made comedies before, kind of like the Christmas special and the Lego cartoons, the Christmas cartoon.
Those
the
are very
Halloween special.
hilarious,
Those are funny. But a horror, like an adult horror movie in the Star Wars universe, kind of like the Tusken Raiders at night.
Yeah, or like
the hills,
zombies,
like
Ewoks.
The
yeah.
zombies, Ewoks. The Hills Have Eyes type of thing.
That adds a cool. Darth Krayt. There he is.
And
Okay.
his name was Sharad Het, was his Jedi name, and they became Darth Krayt.
Yeah.
Which is
Interesting.
Speaking of
And he's a
crate,
different-
there's a crate dragon in Star Wars right at
Yep.
the beginning, and so apparently that was filmed in Tunisia,
Somewhere in like
northern
Sahara,
Africa,
yeah.
northern Africa.
Libya, somewhere around there. Or
It
Morocco.
was Tunisia,
Okay.
and
Which is right next to Libya. Yeah, it's right there. Yeah.
supposedly when they went back to film the prequels, that crate dragon skeleton was still there.
Wow.
That's amazing.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, because it was too big to move.
Yeah.
And they just left it there. I doubt it's there any longer.
Yeah.
Somebody would have to have. Like,
Somebody got it.
taken
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be cool if you just go down there and say, "Hey, let's grab this, take it home, put it in your basement"?
What a adventure that would be. Yeah.
And at the time, Libya was next door to Tunisia,
Mm-hmm.
and they saw the sand crawler,
Yeah.
the Jawa sand
The
crawler.
big vehicle. Yeah.
And they thought it was a military vehicle, and they contacted the Tunisian government. They thought they were going to attack them.
Yeah. They're like, what is that?
And
Yeah.
they said, you need to move this away from our border. So they moved it. But I mean, it was huge. Could you imagine
it's
something
a
like
giant
that?
vehicle that they made most of for the movie. That's
No one knew what Star Wars was, so it would be like, yeah, I would think that's
in the
gonna attack
70s. That would be
me.
pretty wild. Yeah.
That'd be terrifying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting that you got these on-location sets for these. It was very realistic desert environment. It was pretty cool. So.
That's something that I don't think we have here. We don't have any sets with Jawas in it, do we?
There might be one. Oh yeah, there is one. Here's one of the land speeders has a Jawa, but we are missing some Jawa themed
The
sets.
UCS Sandcrawler was awesome.
Yes.
The second version. The first version was good.
The
The
block
second version was better. It was great.
Absolutely.
I actually built that.
The figures still look
Yeah.
great in that set too.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Yeah, there is one Jawa that was ambushing R2D2, but it doesn't have R2D2 in that set either. So, yeah, interesting inclusion. But yeah, I think we have plenty of land speeders, including a UCS one. There's one, Ed, to your right. There's a couple of UCS sets we can get out and talk about if you'd like. I think that. Oh yeah, that's a sweet one.
Oh, this one is
Trench
amazing.
Run.
Yeah.
And you got all the different TIE fighter classes here.
You've got the TIE Fighter, the TIE Advanced, another TIE Fighter. Are they identical? I think they are.
It might be 2 TIE fighters, yeah.
And then you have a Droid TIE, which I don't think that was in the movie.
That seems like a Lego custom canon set. Yeah.
And they had blue highlights on the wings.
I saw an interesting
TIE
video
Fighter collection
that suggests that TIE fighters were actually more of a sand blue color, not gray. And that the lighting that was used ended up making them look more gray. But the actual props were more bluish in real
Well,
life.
there's some of the Hasbro line that does look like a sand blue, sand bluish gray on the TIE fighters.
So this came out in 2004, which is when they were putting that silver line around it, and they were calling it the original Trilogy Edition. And this is when they started making the blue boxes that Nick was talking about earlier. They were making 2 different boxes for things. And the blue boxes are rarer and more expensive than the original Trilogy boxes.
Interesting. Yeah. And there's a classic Y-Wing from also the Trench Run, one of the most vivid scenes.
That character, the fat dude, they called him Jet Porkins?
Porkins.
Porkins. Yeah. I mean, why not Dad Bod Joe or something like that, you know? Porkins.
You know what's funny? One of our regular viewers, Fazoom, Chris Giddens, he actually kind of looks a little bit like Jack Porkins, and he actually kind of embraces it. He'll have pictures of himself photoshopped into that scene, and it's spitting image. I mean, he looks just like him. So hopefully Fazoom catches this video, is able to let us know that if he kind of embraces that role of Jake Porkins. I know he also cosplays as that character, and it's very convincing. So.
And he probably said that before he died. He said it once before in the gym. I can do it. I can handle it.
Yeah. I got it. He's trying to get that his max rep.
You know what's cool though is they give you the gold leader here. There are so many different pilots, rebel pilots.
Yeah, the orange suit pilots.
They all look so cool. I mean,
got
that
different
is a
variety
really
helmets.
cool suit they got. It's a cool helmet they got. And then the droid R2 BHD. I'm surprised they took that long to come out with him because I mean he's silver and black. You know,
yeah,
I mean, he's dark looking. Very cool.
Yeah.
What is not cool are the rebel troopers with their fishbowl or helmets or whatever.
The elongated helmets. Yeah.
They're popular. People like them. I think it was the first character ever to appear in Star Wars.
Yes.
Those first people you see. The
I
ones
don't
in
know
the
if we have any
don't,
here.
We don't have any. They are very popular. They had a Trooper Battle Pack come out with them back kind of later on.
2014, maybe 2011, 2012. Somewhere
I'm
around there.
thinking 2007 maybe.
Okay, maybe.
Might have been earlier.
It was a little earlier, but not, you know, still 7 or 8 years after they came out with Lego Star Wars. And then they didn't come out with them again for a while.
Yeah, there's like one more modern set that has one figure in it. It's like a 4 and up set, and I think that's the last time we've seen one. And that's a pretty expensive set now because of that character.
As a kid, the action figure, I never wanted that guy. I always thought he looked ridiculous.
It's a weird outfit.
The helmet is weird. What is the purpose of that shape helmet?
Yeah,
I'm sure somebody has made up some kind of Star Wars lore.
It's got a visor up here and
that
stuff.
They have that helmet for a reason, but I don't know what it is. I mean, and then they have vests on. And it's like, what do they have the vest? What's the purpose of the vest? Is it's not Kevlar.
Yeah, they were getting shot up pretty bad.
You know, when you're 8 years old, you're just looking at it going, what? Whoa, this is so cool.
It's probably just that 70s design coming through and making it look, you know, bizarre, alien space world, you know, so. But yeah. Now, as far as the Y-Wing you've got here, Chris, would you say that the Y-Wing is as cool as the X-Wing, or think the X-Wing is cooler? Because I think I like the X-Wing just a little bit better. What do you guys think?
Same thing.
Yeah.
X is cool, right?
Yeah.
The letter Y is not cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
not that cool.
What did Elon Musk just call his company? Like one of the largest social media companies in the world.
Well, formerly Twitter.
He called it X.
Yeah.
He didn't call it Y. I mean, Y is not a cool letter.
Yeah.
And this ship is not the coolest ship.
It's got a weird greebly center. That's interesting.
It's not bad, but it's just not nearly as cool as the X-Wing or TIE Fighter.
Yeah.
It's like one of those Frankenstein cars you're making in your garage. You just add some parts to it and make it fly. And like, here you go.
You know, it's got yellow on it. Yellow is, you know, kind of like a Naboo starfighter or something. Never been the coolest ship.
Yeah, red is a more militaristic color, I think. So.
Yeah, I mean, you saw the Mandalorian's Naboo Starfighter is much cooler because they took away that yellow.
Yeah.
You know, so
that cool silver color.
It's a fine ship.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just not as cool as the X-Wing.
It doesn't have quite the cool factor. But one thing I will say is this does kind of create the character for the Rebels. In the first movie, they weren't like they were not poorly funded, but they were a little bit. They were the rebellion. They're underdogs, and so this ship kind of looks a little bit, secondhand almost. A little
TIE
hodgepodge.
fighters were cool.
Yeah.
I don't know what they used for the sound for a TIE fighter in flight, but it sounds really cool.
Yeah, the sound design for Star Wars was one thing that really sold it. Because if everything was silent, it wouldn't look
like it's a TIE fighter coming a mile away, or miles away, because of the sound. The Germans did that with their Stukas in World War II. They had a distinctive noise when they went to dive bomb you, like, haha, we're going to kill you. It's kind of creepy, but the TIE fighter has that same type of
morale shaker,
Nazi-esque style to it. The whole empire.
Evil empire, yeah.
So in the trench run, the Y-Wings were first.
Maybe, I think
they were first, and they got taken out together right away. Vader took them out.
Yep.
And I was wondering why they were first in the trench. What were they doing? Mm-hmm. Because an X-Wing is so much better, right? And then the X-Wings come in after the Y-Wings get taken out. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a
Y-Wings are more narrow. They get into trenches a little bit better, maybe. The X-Wings, you got... There's two wings up and down, and you got to make sure you don't get too close to the wall.
Maybe
they were the bait, clearing the way or something.
They were the cannon fodder. I know that the Y-Wing tends to be kind of referred to as a bomber, sort of, versus a fighter. So maybe the X-Wings were kind of designed to get those guys in there.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
And then the X-Wings, as a necessity, had to try and bomb
now
it.
it's the X-Wings got to try it because all our bombers are gone.
Yeah, because the Y-Wings couldn't handle it. So, yeah. Interesting. But it's such a riveting scene, too. I mean, I actually watched it last night in preparation for this, and that the rest of the movie is a little bit slower. It's not quite as fast-paced as modern movies, but the trench run, absolutely, you're just, like, glued to the screen. So
I have to disagree with you on that.
Oh, you think?
I think it's just action-packed. It just goes from one thing to another.
That is true.
Slow is... which episode is it when Anakin and Padme are falling in love?
That's episode 2, Attack of the Clones.
I always fall asleep during that part.
But
there is a lot more action in A New Hope, and it's very well paced too. It's like a very congruent
and you want to know more.
Yeah,
you're given the visuals, but you want to know more about. Well, what's this? What is this now? What's going on here? So
okay, Mark. So I was watching it last night as well.
Oh, really?
All right.
Yeah.
And we had a friend over at our house, and he was telling us how Millie Bobby Brown lives down the road from him. Mm-hmm. She lives on his road.
There you go.
Down in Sonoy. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, Millie Bobby Brown. She looks just like Carrie Fisher.
Mm-hmm.
She
Quite
does.
a bit.
She really does. And I'm like, wow, it would be so cool if they brought her in to play Carrie Fisher in one of the films.
Yeah, as like a younger version.
Yeah, from Stranger Things.
Yes, yeah. And you know what? I was thinking that too. She does look uncanny.
You've met her in person.
Briefly in line at Publix, I got to see her. It was pretty interesting. Yeah,
that's right. Yeah.
She would do a pretty convincing job. I'm pretty sure fans have even theorized this or wanted this.
People say that about Chris and I. I saw them at Publix.
Yeah.
No, honestly, every time I go, they're wearing Atlanta Break Co. shirt, which is all my shirts.
Yeah.
I go to check out, and there's this older gentleman that's always like, oh, hey, yeah, you work there? I know the owner. Yeah, he comes in on weekends. And I'm like, oh, wow.
He comes in on the weekends.
The owner, one of the owners.
I work on the weekends, and when I go get lunch, I go across the street. I go to Publix.
Go to Publix, yeah. That's why he knows the owner. Yeah, he knows Ed, the owner. That's great.
That's funny.
Is that why in Crumble Cookie is right next door? Is that why I'm always seeing Crumble Cookie boxes?
You know, I stopped because I just people expect it now. It's like every
Yeah.
weekend now that my crew, this was where's the crumble?
You don't want to be predictable.
Right. So I'm like, well, then we're gonna have to contribute because that stuff gets expensive, and now no more crumble. You know.
It is not good for you.
Yeah.
No, that's a lot of
It's
sugar.
lot of calories, man.
I feel so sick after eating 5 of those.
But this is something.
Had to process that for a minute.
So this is actually one of the newer UCS sets. I think what was it, a year ago, 2 years ago this came out, and it's
Going on 2.
gorgeous. This
Yeah.
is a really cool looking land
It's
speeder.
got an exclusive C3PO in it
Yes, with the different leg.
with a different color leg.
I didn't notice him having a different color leg in the movie. Maybe it was later, one of the other movies he had. one.
Mandela effect.
Oh, okay, that's good.
I'm going with the Mandela effect. If y'all
That's-
don't know, that's a whole nother show.
Yeah.
It's a whole nother thing.
We'll do Ed's deep dive later. Yeah,
I love a good conspiracy, man, and that is one of the best.
He could have had it. He really got beat up.
he
in that
did.
first
Limbs removed.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, he was.
I was
he
watching
torn
some
up.
special effects show about Star Wars long ago. C3PO, when he fell, when the Tusken Raiders were attacking Luke, C3PO fell. In the scene, the guy that played C3PO actually did fall,
Yeah.
and they just kept it in the scene. And his leg did come off, the costume part, and they were trying to put him back together in the next scene. And that's probably where he earned that different color leg. I don't know, maybe Ben Kenobi had a box of parts at his house.
Yeah, had an
like,
extra
I've got this
protocol
leg. I knew I was
droid
going to
leg.
need it someday. Here you go, use it.
Oh, we do have a sandcrawler here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's it. So, the Tatooine Homestead, a great mini-scale build, really captures the landscape and the environment of that scene. Very pivotal to the first movie, obviously. There's a lot of scenes shot there.
You even have another land speeder in there.
Yeah, that's
It's 2 pieces.
version number 7. Yeah.
There you go. Look at that.
Yeah.
Nice.
And it actually works, too. That's what's funny about
Yeah.
that scene. Yeah, so we did have a little bit of Java sandcrawler there, but not too much. A very mini-scale version of it.
You have to squint your eyes, and it looks so realistic.
Exactly. From a distance, right?
There's C-3PO. He's two gold studs.
Yeah. R2-D2 is the silver
Yeah.
stud there, yeah. So.
I like these,
Mhm.
but they're not for me.
Yeah.
I think Daniel is a microscale
He is,
fan.
for sure.
I like them and I get it, but I don't. It's not for me. I wouldn't buy this.
You're more a minifig guy, right?
I'm a minifig guy. Keep it all the same scale. In fact, you were saying that the large land speeder is beautiful, which maybe it is.
It's a good sculpture, but
it's too big. It's not minifigure scale.
It is
So-
hard to play with because you have to
It
make
looks
a
really
figure
good
for
when
it,
it's
yeah.
built. We have a few of them out there, or we did. They look great when they're built.
I like the UCS minifigure scale sets.
Yeah.
When you get that big, it's just not for me.
Yeah, understood.
Yeah.
Yes.
So this was a gift with purchase, and if you're noticing something on the gift with purchases, they put the original movie photos where that was on there to say, hey, look, it really does look like that scene.
Yeah. They're like, look how similar it is to that.
Because they
scene.
did the same thing with the Lars Family Homestead kitchen.
They sure
they've
did.
got the photos on it, and they were all the gift with purchases, whereas all the real sets, I
Typically,
don't-
not really.
even the old ones, they don't have any movie scenes on them.
I think the closest thing you can have is this Droid Escape here. It has a little bit of a rendered background for it, so you can kind of see how you can imagine what it would be like flying down to the surface of Tatooine. But that's about as close as it gets for a non-gift with purchase set. I do like this Droid Escape set though because I think this is the second version. There's 3, I think. And this has the really cool Sand Trooper, which is a very expensive version of the Stormtrooper. It has that cool shoulder pauldron and that interesting sand print all over them. So, however, in the movie they look pretty clean out there in the desert. They look like they weren't getting too caked up out there. So. Then another set we can talk about really quickly was when Obi-Wan was sneaking around the Death Star. There's a nice little scene here too with the cannon and the Death Star operator there, one of the little
I like the
Imperial
new hood
officers.
version of this figure.
Yes.
They look a lot better.
I was not a fan of Obi-Wan in the original trilogy.
Really? Okay.
Because he was just an old man that got killed
Yeah.
right away. You know,
Very
that
brief.
He played the role that he was supposed to play.
Mm-hmm.
So the funny thing is Obi-Wan in the prequels was my favorite character. You know, partially because Ewan McGregor is amazing, but then they came out with the Obi-Wan series on Disney Plus, and I didn't like it again.
Oh,
He's starting to become that old man that is weak,
grumpy, and
and it's like
burnt out. Yeah,
man.
But when I was watching the film for the first time, I wanted to know more about this Ben Kenobi guy.
Yeah,
And
or
Marvel.
the Jedi, because he's like the apologist for the Jedi. So.
I was enthralled. I wanted to know more about that. And the Marvel comics delved a little deeply into that, and they had some backstories on Kenobi.
Yeah, because you didn't know anything about what the Jedi Order was like. You didn't know who Yoda was.
There was
You
an
didn't know
episode
any of that
where
stuff.
he was these pirates took over a Star Destroyer, or they had a Star Destroyer, and they were pirates. And he was doing something with them. I forget the storyline now, but it was so cool. And if only they made those back again and put them in live action, or at least blended those in with today, it would be so awesome. Because that George Lucas had a hand in all those stories. I mean, they had to go to him first and approve all this before they put it out there, which was pretty neat. But I liked Ben Kenobi, and they used Alec Guinness as an actor. This guy's an A-list actor.
Yeah.
He was the only
Yeah.
A-list actor in that movie.
He was in
I think,
Lawrence of Arabia. Just
Several other
very
films,
good actor, and he agreed to do this. Like, wow.
Apparently, it was his suggestion to get killed off
Yeah.
in the first one, so he didn't have to come back and do another one.
Apparently, he was not like thrilled with doing what he thought was kind of a silly fantasy movie. Yeah. He was more like Shakespearean in his style.
So Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford would behave themselves when he was around.
Yeah.
But apparently, as soon as he was off set, they would just start slacking again.
Goofing off.
Yeah.
He's in the same category as Count Dooku, the actor that plays Count Dooku.
Totally overqualified.
Same.
It's Christopher Lee.
Sir Christopher Lee, yes.
Yeah.
Also Lord of the Rings fame,
Well, they're both knights.
Yeah.
Alec Guinness and Christopher Lee were both Sir.
Yeah, wow.
So, yeah.
That's cool.
Jedi Knight, well, in, you know.
Oh, that, yeah.
That
and that.
They were both Jedi Knights.
Both
That's right.
Absolutely. Well, there's one other Y-Wing we could talk about, then. This is much more minifigure scale. You want to grab that one?
Yep.
And this is, I think, more up your alley, Chris, because the UCS Y-Wing is a little big. It's not quite minifigure scale. This one is very much minifigure scale, and I like the proportions of this one a lot better. But what do you guys think about the medium size versus UCS size?
You know, I'm like Chris. I'm like, nah. What figures does it have?
Yeah, this one's a little bit plain. Yeah. So.
What are the figures?
Is that Wedge in there? Is it supposed to be Wedge? Oh no, just Rebel Pilot.
They call him just Rebel Pilot. I don't think it's Wedge. And then they have the Astromech droid. And,
another generic one. So.
You know, but at the time he wasn't. He was different from R2-D2. So that was only like the second Astromech droid they ever made.
Yeah, of different colors.
So at the time, this was the Astromech droid was a great figure, but then they made a lot of them after this.
Yeah, there's plenty of variants now.
It's not as exciting anymore. In fact, this is kind of just a plain Jane set. But at the time, it was pretty special. This came out in 2007.
Yeah, pretty early on.
You know the most special thing about this set? The box.
Yeah, it's got a cool box. Yeah,
I love box art. But this is for collectors who have to have everything.
Yep,
this is right up there with them.
We got that certified for $80. That's a pretty good deal. So,
yeah, and I think that price is reflecting of the plainness.
Yeah,
of this
it's
set.
pretty generic now. So
here's a good one we haven't talked about. This one yet.
Yeah.
This is the Mos Eisley Cantina. This would have been like the second one when they came back out with it. You get the Cantina Band.
Yeah, the Bith musicians, yeah.
Bith musicians, and those are so expensive now. They used to be $10 a dozen because you got 3 of them in this set. But now it's...
they've gone up.
They've gone up a lot.
Yeah.
You get the cool Sand Trooper, Greedo, a great version of
Greedo.
Obi-Wan. I mean, as far as Obi-Wan goes, that's a pretty good
version,
yeah.
And you get a do-bag.
Yes,
Yeah.
the
That
nice
was the first
mold. Yeah.
coolest do-bag ever.
Yeah.
It came with a saddle, a buildable saddle, or you can take the saddle off, and they had the pieces to make the back smooth.
Yep.
In case you want to make a wild do-bag.
Yeah.
Exactly.
For being a relatively small set, they packed a lot in this.
Yeah.
This is $120 seems like a really good price for a certified pre-owned one.
Yeah,
Because
for Landspeeder, Dewback, all these characters.
these characters in the Dewback and the Greedo, I mean, they've got to add up to a couple $100, I would imagine.
Yeah, for a third the price of the new one, it's a great deal. So.
You'll have to remind me to look at that price again.
Yeah, double check that's correct, yeah.
I bet everything would sell. This is when you part it out, everything would sell for a lot more money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good one. But one other set I think we can talk about before we close it out is this very cool Millennium Falcon. This is the second version, I believe, because it's got that blue box
blue box.
instructions, and that would have been probably like 2002, 3, 4?
3, I think.
3 maybe. And it also has a snowtrooper with a cannon apparently on the instructions there too. So this features that cool older C-3PO with that kind of light gold color.
Pearl like gold.
Yes.
Yeah.
And this one's interesting because I think it had some nice opening up features. You could open up all these
It also has an
big wedge
exclusive,
panels.
if I'm not mistaken, isn't that the one with the exclusive reactor piece? It's a brown, like a dark orange brown color.
I believe you're right there.
It only
Ed,
comes in that
there
set.
It is.
It's a reactor piece.
Yeah.
Now,
And-
I do think this is episode 5.
Yes.
Yes.
Falcon.
Oh, there
Just
we
to
go.
clarify, because
You're right.
somebody's going to point it out.
You're right. You got
know,
the winter
this-
gear for Princess
Oh,
Leia and Han
yeah,
Solo.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess we didn't have any of the original Falcons, but
We have the UCS version, but that one is like
We're
it
not
has
bringing it in
original
here.
trilogy and it's
Oh yeah,
the
we're
sequel,
bringing it in here.
and it's too big to fit in the single studio
Huge.
set. But that's an example of the Falcon there.
however, while we're talking about it, this is the studio where the Guinness Book of World Records fastest Millennium Falcon UCS build
Yes.
took place.
Yes.
place here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can look that up and
I officiated it.
Yeah.
exactly. You were one of the people
Well,
signing
yep.
the paper at the end, Ed. That was pretty
That
cool.
was like 2 years ago now.
That's on our channel, so you can go back
Yeah.
and see highlights
Kept
and
peeking
the
in.
finale
How's he
of
doing?
that.
How's he
so.
doing? Oh my gosh, he's moving fast.
So you can fit it in here, but maybe if you build it in here.
Yeah. It was about 10, 11
11 something
some hours.
Yeah.
hours,
Yeah.
and no one's beat him yet. I don't think.
That would be pretty crazy to do so.
And if you buy a set like that, guys, you don't want to make the record and try to build it real quick. You want to enjoy that build.
Yeah, savor that week-long
Yeah.
building experience.
Well,
yeah.
he had built it like 5, 6, 7 times.
Right, he has, yeah. But you
Good
imagine being the
practice.
parents of a kid like that that can build a set like that in 10, 11 hours. That's it. You're not getting anything else the rest of the year, kid.
yeah. You burnt up all your
Yeah.
build time in one day. Yeah. So.
Can't keep up.
Mm-hmm.
So I guess one other set we didn't talk about was the Death Star.
Yes. Also kind of big to move in here, but yeah.
And I think, did they do a trash compactor diorama?
Yes, they did. Yeah, we didn't have that one in the shelves right
I've
now,
got it
but
at the warehouse.
we do.
I believe
And
we
we need
do.
to bring a few out. We'll
I
check.
can't say that. I got to make sure.
Yeah.
Thought we did.
Check our website, atlbrick.com, see if we got the trash
Yeah.
compactor scene. But yeah.
You got the trash compactor monster,
Mm-hmm.
Dianaga.
Yeah, the little eyeball with tentacles. Yeah.
How long had the Death Star been around at this point in the movie? I mean, it was new, right? They just finished building it because the first time they used the laser to destroy Alderaan was
Yeah.
the first time they used the laser.
A full
right?
test of it, yeah. So.
So it already had a monster in the trash compactor?
Probably what happened is one of the aliens that was a contractor working on the Death Star had some live food in a bowl, right? Little worms,
Yeah, some
and he
trash,
was eating them,
yeah.
and then he threw it away. Didn't eat one of the worms. It survived in the trash compactor, and it grew big, eating all the other garbage that was in there.
Yeah.
That's good as
a
that's
good theory.
good guess as any would be.
I like your theory, Ed.
Absolutely.
That's a good theory. But yeah, again, the Death Star would be too big to fit in here, and they sell too fast.
Yes, I think we might have one built one out there, which we could have brought in, but it's you can see all the different scenes from not only the first movie but also the sequels.
You know
to
what's
come
cool
after
about it too is there's a lot of playability. Some of these UCS sets are they're to display, like the Phase 2 Death Star.
Or any of the
Needs to
big
display.
UCS sets usually display.
The Death Star set, the 10188 set, the first one they came out with, it had a lot of playability. If you're a
lot
kid,
of playability.
that's a set to
Yeah.
have. You can play with that for hours. There's so much to do there. When we were kids, Kenner did make a Death Star.
Mm-hmm.
It was like a triangle. Before that toy came out, we used to make our own.
Yeah.
And we made out of
Cardboard,
cardboard.
yeah.
I enjoyed doing that anyway. I loved making my own stuff. But it was great. And then they came out with the second series, the second Death Star. Again, a lot of playability in that set.
Mm-hmm.
great sets to have. It wouldn't be a bad idea, as many Naboo starfighters and land speeders they make, to come out with a third version of a playable Death Star. It's about time that they came out with another one for the next generation of kids to have some fun playing with that set.
Absolutely. I know that our friend M&R has made using the build techniques for the globe. Yeah. He made a Death Star mock. It's actually not too hard to do if you find enough gray plates and wedges.
Right.
But it's a really cool concept.
Yeah, I've seen it. He had it
It's
at
a
his house.
no-brainer for Lego, too. Why don't they make that set?
I know. They did the little mini giveaway Death Star last year.
It's not bad.
It's not bad, but everybody wanted it because it's a Death Star.
Mm-hmm. It's a little... I'd like something a little more substantial. You got to have that gravitas, you know?
You know there's a moon orbiting, I don't know if it's Saturn or Jupiter, that looks a lot like a Death Star.
It's got that big crater
It's got
in
a big crater in the middle. It looks a lot like a Death Star. And you look at that NASA photos, right? You go...
That's no moon.
Exactly. You're like, what? I know where that came from.
It gives the telescope operator pause when he sees it. Yeah. That's funny. All right. Well, I think that's about all we have for episode 4 here on the table here. But so many great thoughts and perspectives and rabbit trails and good content to listen to. And I
there
appreciate
are
you guys.
so many rabbit trails with Star Wars because everything is interesting because it is so popular.
And everything stems from this, too. This is the core. This is the heart, the beating heart of the whole thing. So.
Where did, and everything is known, too. So, where George Lucas came up with the idea for Chewbacca after his dog.
Yep.
And it's his dog is the personality of Chewbacca. And his dog's name?
Chewie? No?
Indiana.
Oh,
I thought he got the idea from a cabbie in New York City.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones and Chewbacca, and part of Star Wars from the same relationship with his dog.
In fact, George Lucas thought this was going to bomb at the box office. All right, he couldn't stick around to watch it bomb, so he and Steven Spielberg went on vacation together in Hawaii when it came out. And while they were on vacation in Hawaii, they came up with Indiana Jones, the movie.
Yep, that makes sense.
But I think Steven Spielberg saw the potential in it. I think because Steven Spielberg is a very amazing storyteller, and he had a lot of confidence and belief in George Lucas's idea, and it wouldn't have gone to that box office if it wasn't even worthy.
Yeah,
I think
exactly.
Enough people saw the worthiness in it.
It worked out in the end for him.
Actually, it went to the box office because Fox forced it into the movie theater.
Right, because Paramount wouldn't take it, and GM, Universal, nobody wanted it, and I think
they forced it in. They said, "Hey, if you don't take Star Wars into the theaters, we're not going to let you release the next big movie, whatever it was."
Yeah, they had to put it out. Yeah,
which whatever movie that was didn't even do a fraction of what
had
Star
nothing
Wars
to had no impact at all. So,
but that was the big expected arrival of it. So yeah, I mean, every Star Wars has so many rabbit holes. Like that's what makes it so fun for me.
It's such a deep universe, right?
Huge universe, yeah.
All from this one movie.
Where little bunnies on who knows what they're on can actually create a city underground.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, Lego might not be around today if not for Star Wars.
I agree. I think that the success of the two brands has really made a lot.
They were going out of business. They weren't going out of business.
They were losing money.
They were losing money.
They were probably going to.
Licensing Star Wars brought it back. And heck, maybe Atlanta Brickco wouldn't be here today if not for Star Wars. Because of the fan base. That
collectability, which we've talked about from childhood.
And now Atlanta Brickco is enabling fans to get the sets they want. Because there's no way they'd get some of these sets if it wasn't for us remaking them, putting them back out,
all these,
distributing them.
Wow, Atlanta Brickco sounds amazing.
Yeah. And people didn't think
we
were going to do anything.
Where can I learn more about them?
Yeah.
www.atlbrick.com.
Or in Union, Georgia. All right. On that note, thank you guys so much for your thoughts and experiences. This has been a great video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.